The tricep makes up 2/3 of the arm. So if you want to build big, strong arms, instead of focusing on the bicep, try focusing on your tricep. And in today's episode of Tonal Hacks, I'm going to show you how to use this machine in order to build bigger, stronger arms faster than ever, with not one, but two variations on the tricep kickback that you're gonna love. So stick around to the end so you get both of them. Let's start by showing you how the tricep kickback is done on Tonal with the traditional official setup. So officially, you have the arms down, they're in the normal position all the way down to the floor as you can see. And what you do is you get in a position here, toes aligned with the edge of the arms, you grab the handles, you hinge at the hips, get in a position, and you kick back. Now, as you're watching me do this exercise, what you'll notice is that the angle of the cable in relation to my arm is pretty close to a right angle here. Not exactly, but pretty close. Now, what that means is that the peak amount of resistance that you're gonna get in this particular move is when you're shortening the muscle and you're kicking your arm back into this fully contracted position. Now that's awesome if you want to build just max strength. If strength is your only goal, then this is awesome. But many of the complaints and many of the criticisms we get around this particular exercise is how hard and difficult it is. Because I only have 10 pounds on here right now, and this is still pretty challenging with just 10 pounds. With magnetic weights, they're just a little bit heavier than traditional weights, like a normal cable system that you would get in the gym. So what can we do about this? How do we make this exercise better? How do we make it build more muscle faster? And how do we also make it just slightly easier on ourselves? That's the question that I'm gonna answer in today's video. So if you've ever struggled with this exercise, either just maintaining this position, keeping your back flat, kicking it out, using the weights, leveraging, heavier weights, then you're gonna love this hack or this variation I'm gonna show you. So instead of keeping the arms down in this position here, what I want you to do is I want you to raise the arms just below waist height. So watch this, I'm gonna raise the arms here, not one, but 2 notches. I'm gonna bring them out to parallel, and then I'm gonna bring them in 1 notch. So both arms up, not 1, but 2, up to parallel, and then in 1 notch. So now as you can see, the arms are about waist height, they're parallel to the floor, and they're brought in just slightly. Now I can go into the tricep kickback from this position. Now the reason this position is gonna be far superior than the previous setup is because now I'm gonna have the least amount of resistance in that shortened position, in that peak contracted position. Now that's good because it's gonna make the exercise ever so slightly easier in this point, but it's gonna make the exercise harder and more challenging at the point at which we're getting the most amount of hypertrophy, when we're lengthening the muscle. So it makes sense that by positioning the arms at this angle and in this position, we're now gonna maximize the amount of resistance we get, not on the shortening, but on the lengthening of our tricep when we're getting the most amount of hypertrophy benefit. So now this is gonna be the weakest point in terms of the resistance curve, where the least amount of resistance is on my tricep, but that's okay. I'm not worried about that because on the negative portion of the rep, now I'm getting the most amount of resistance when my tricep is in that lengthened or stretched position. And that's what I'm going after here. That's why we switch up the arms. That's why we make the change in the adjustment that we do in order to optimize the hypertrophy benefits of this exercise. So let me demo a few reps. And again, stick around to the end because I'm gonna show you another variation on this exercise that you're gonna love. So you get a 2 for 1 today. So here we are. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna walk back a few steps. I'm gonna hinge at the hips, pull my elbows back along my rib cage. Now I'm gonna kick back, drive back. So this is not too challenging or difficult. This is actually gonna be the weakest point of the rep in terms of the resistance curve. Now it's getting harder and harder, but now I can hold more weight. And now I'm fighting against that eccentric. And of course, you want to go slow and controlled, as always, taking momentum out of the movement as much as possible. And boy, that just feels and hits differently on the tricep. You're going to be able to lift more weight. You're going to be able to go heavier on the exercise. You're going to be able to push yourself further, and you're going to build more muscle, and you're gonna build it faster because you're optimizing for the negative or the eccentric portion of the rep. And you're just getting a lot more work done faster. I'm gonna do one more and finish strong. Now that just feels a heck of a lot different. Now let me show you one more hack. So this is the final trick up my sleeve, if you will. So we could take this exercise here and we can make one more tweak and make it even better. You might be saying,
Jackson, how can we get better than this?
oh, you just wait. I got one more thing. So I'm gonna take the handles off, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull out these cuffs. So these are some standard cuffs. They're usually considered ankle cuffs. You can buy them on Amazon, and all it is a standard ankle cuff, but you can also use them for your wrists. So I got the standard ankle cuff here. I have the carabiner and I have the T-lock, very important. It needs the carabiner and it needs the T-lock in order to hook up to the tonal. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap these around my wrists, and then we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna do the tricep kickback, but we're gonna do it with the cuffs on. And now with the cuff on, what we're gonna do is we transfer a little bit of the resistance, obviously from our hand, a little bit further up our arm. And the cool thing about it is now you're not gonna have the handle, this kind of like rope part of the handle, you're not gonna have it flipping around your knuckles, getting kind of caught up. You're not gonna have it moving around. And you also don't have to worry about gripping or holding anything. So it allows you to kind of like clear your head a little bit, get a little bit more zenned out, and just focus on the contraction of the muscle and just working your triceps instead of worried about holding the handle and positioning and getting everything kind of set up. And again, by also shifting the resistance from your hand here just slightly up your arm, again, it makes it a little bit easier at that peak point. It's gonna make it a heck of a lot harder on the opposite way. So you can push a little bit further into the exercise. And again, it's one of these things you kind of got to feel, and as soon as you feel it, you kind of get it. So I get locked in. Now I'm going to take a few steps out, flatten back, in position, drive out, and control on the way back. Drive out and control. And gosh, that resistance on the back end, I could just feel. It's incredible, the difference. And not having to worry about holding the handle and not having that strap wrapping around my knuckles. It just makes the exercise a lot cleaner, a lot easier, logistically speaking, and a lot better on my triceps. I'm gonna do one more here and finish. So if you're doing like a metabolic resistance training circuit, if you're trying to move really fast through things, doing something like a 4 weeks to fat loss, it wouldn't make sense to pull these out because it's just gonna slow you down. But if you're doing something more like go big, go home, if you're doing more of a muscle building hypertrophy program, that's where it makes sense to bust these out to really focus on the muscular hypertrophy of the tricep as opposed to just moving fast through the exercises. That is today's tonal hack, the tricep kickback. Give this a try at home, comment below, let me know how you like it. And remember, action is the difference between dreaming and succeeding.